Welcome to Herbally Yours, an adventure into the world of natural medicine. Here is your host, Dr. Ellen Kamai, the natural nurse who will help you take the leap to ultimate wellness.
Hello, and thank you so much for joining us today right here on Herbally Yours on 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. We are so happy to bring you the show every week right here on Herbally Yours on 90.3 WHPC. And today we are really pleased to have as our guest Susan Miller, who is a very well-known astrologer, author, publisher, and pioneer. Susan is the respected founder of Astrology Zone, which she debuted way back in December 1995. Her site is considered an authority in the field of Western astrology and is read avidly by 11 million unique readers a year. Susan is the author of 12 astrology books, including The Year Ahead Astrology Calendars, and writes monthly columns for 6 international fashion magazines. So you sound like a pretty busy girl there, Susan.
I am. Every day I wake up and know what has to be done by the end of the day. And if it's not, I just have to stay up.
So that's the to-do list. Now,
yes.
I know that last year we actually did speak with you, and then you sent me your beautiful calendar that I think you do yearly, because I just got a new one called Susan Miller's The Year Ahead 2021, and it's absolutely beautiful. Who is the artist?
No, we have a new one.
Right, I know.
We have. Did you get this one?
I did. I got the new one. Yep, I got the new one.
That's 2022.
Yes, I got the 2022 one, but we're still in 2021 at this moment. So, I'm still using this one. And who is the artist that prepared the beautiful artwork that's in this calendar?
I love his work. Plus, he's so easy to work with. His name is Isaac, Izak. He's on Instagram, and every day he posts these beautiful fashion pictures of women. He's French, of course, and loves women. And he never runs out of ideas. He also loves little dogs and cats. So often you'll see him incorporate animals into his work. He is just a joy. I write for a living, but I want to make things. Ever since I was little, I would say to my mother, I would show her my hands and say, I want to make things. And making these calendars each year is such a pleasure. We're starting right now for 2023. And he's starting to send me pen and ink ideas. And then together we collaborate and we come up with a theme. This year, it's very busy, chic women doing different things,
Yes, I did notice.
They're with their children. They're skiing. They're traveling. They're, making a pie. They're on the beach. They're busy.
So let's talk about the year that's coming up, because we're only, we're getting close to the end of this year.
Can we believe it?
It's amazing. But what are some of your famous predictions in terms of the year coming up in 2022? And is there any significance that it's all twos in that number?
Well, I'm sure numerologists would find that. And actually, February, too, is a very lucky month. So is March. But this coming year is so much better than the past 2 years that we've had. It's remarkable.
Well, that's good to hear.
You know what the difference is? This year, there were none of those little jewel-like, beautiful little aspects that are sprinkled through the year to give us hope and inspiration and optimism and the energy to keep on going. this year there were nothing but tests. Do you know, I didn't even write the year ahead 2021. I knew it would be a twin of 2020. And I didn't want to tell the readers. So I kind of said I need a rest this year from writing. And writing the year ahead is very difficult. So first I write my calendar. And this year In Style magazine asked me to write the year ahead. And they put it in a beauty box of beautiful new indie products. And they separated the boxes by fire, air, earth, and water. But my 58-page year ahead, it covers all signs, whether you're a fire sign, an earth sign, a water sign, whatever. They're in all the boxes. But this year, let's start with the luckiest day of the year, March 5th. When Jupiter conjuncts the sun.
Why would that be particularly lucky? Can you hear me, Susan? Because I wanted to ask you some questions. Why would that kind of conjunction of those two planets that you mentioned, why would that be particularly lucky?
Well, I read the encyclopedia and parts of it. Jupiter almost became a sun and missed it on some technicality, scientific technicality. And when he conjoins the sun, that is so expansive, so lucky financially, but also romantically and in terms of broadening vision and hopefulness and lucky breaks. It's my favorite day, and every year it's in a different sign. Last year it was in Aquarius, and this year it was last year it was I think it was January 28th, somewhere in there. This year it's March 5th, and it's the first time in 12 years that we've had the luckiest day of the year in Pisces. Well, that's because Jupiter will go into Pisces at the end of next month on the 29th, right at the end. So we're starting the year with a new place for Jupiter, which means we get luck from a different place in our charts, all of us. And he will stay in Pisces until May 10th. Then he will go straight into Aries. So Aries gets their best year of their life. First it's Pisces, then it's Aries. And what I like about this is that when Jupiter's in a water sign, it not only benefits water, which is Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, but it also benefits Earth, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. When it goes into Aries, it benefits the fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sag, but also the air signs, because air makes fire burn more brightly. And that's Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. So next year, everybody gets cookies. And it will stay in Aries until approximately Halloween. It's October 30th. Then it goes back to Pisces for a last kind of goodbye as Jupiter's packing his bags not to come back for 12 years. Now, he's retrograde in November, but December is phenomenal. Just in time for the holidays. He says goodbye on December 20th, but wherever Jupiter goes, he gives us such happiness. I always think of Jupiter as the uncle in the Nutcracker. If you've seen it, he's the big, jovial, rotund uncle, and he comes with this big coat with lots of pockets, and he has presents for all the children, little beautiful boxes with bows, and they all gather around and no one's left out. And Jupiter asks nothing in return. He's just like that uncle. He just wants to make you happy, and that's his job. And to expand your vision. And
a lot of people might be interested in having that kind of guidance, even if they don't know so much that you know and know every single thing about the planets. But I do want to remind I would like to remind our listeners that you are listening to Herbally Yours on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Ellen Kamai, the natural nurse. And today, my guest is here with us, and she is Susan Miller, a very well-known astrologer. And what would you say the best place for people to go to look for more information from you, Susan?
Well, I write 40,000 words a month for free on my website. But some people don't like to look at the web on their computer. Don't look at it on your phone. Get the app. An app is more secure on phones. I have a free version and a paid subscription version for $4.99 a month on Apple and Google Play. And it has a long name, Daily Horoscope, Astrology Zone, and more, which includes my monthly, which is what really put me on the map.
So would just astrologyzone.com be a good place to look? Astrologyzone.com? Is that a good place to look?
If you go to Astrology Zone, there's an icon there. You can just click it and it will take you to the Apple App Store or Google Play, depending if you have a Samsung. But if you just search Susan Miller on those app stores, you'll see me kind of to the side and I'm wearing a white blouse laughing. I had to put my picture on the screen because a lot of people were pretending to be me. Welcome to my world. So if you see, nobody else has their own picture on it. And I write, and that's what I do. Look at the monthly. That's how you get to know me first. And then you'll get your dailies on the free one, you get short dailies. On the subscriber ones, you get longer ones, 72 words at least. And you also get all my essays and how to deal with eclipses and Mercury retrograde and all those good things to know about.
I would really like to share something because I mentioned that I have your calendar. And, I don't necessarily guide my whole life by it, but I had a closing recently of a co-op. It's actually in Woodbury, Long Island, not far from our mother station here at WHPC. So after the date was set up, which happened to be November 10th, just a few days ago, then I said, let me just look inside Susan's calendar. And sure enough, it was like, oh no, it was the worst day to have a closing. You specifically had, and I thought it was just psychically amazing, Mercury conjunct Mars, Mercury square Saturn, Mars square Saturn. Mercury rules contracts, so do not sign one on this day or have an important interview or presentation. So it's like, oh no. And I will tell you, we had to move ahead because there were 6 attorneys and I would have actually told them no.
I know what it's like.
But it was a lot of mix-ups. I mean, a tremendously hard and not smooth. In fact, to this day, and it's like a week later, we still have not received the bank transfer. So it's somewhere in a glitch.
When I bought my apartment and we had no choice either because my entire 45-story building went condo the same day. And we all had to go to this great big building, each person in a different room with the bank, like you say, with the state, the city, all, the tax people are there, and 2 months after I signed, Chase, where I got my mortgage, called me up and they said, there was a mistake of $20,000. And I said, tell me it's in my favor. And they said, no, would you just send over another $20,000? And I said, well, when you buy a house, you give everything to keep the monthly, amount low. So I don't have another 20,000 lying around. I didn't expect this. So they said, all right, we'll just tack 1,000 on to your mortgage every month for 20 months. I don't know how I found the money to do it because I had 2 children in private school and I was a single mother and no one was helping me. My husband, he was still married to me, but he never supported us. He was always out of work.
So that's quite amazing because it's so much better if you know ahead of time. Because I think this transaction,
you do, and I'm good with finances. I'm careful, but things happen, and it is what it is. And sometimes it's just fated, and it's just reflected. It shows the condition, in the stars. But I write the calendar so that people have a blueprint. So when they're getting married or having a big job interview or closing on a house or whatever, you look and see the best time to do that.
So have you found in your years of experience, Susan, have you found that if people actually are knowledgeable about astrology or speak with someone like yourself who is, that actually when you do sort of use, if you can plan it when it's in your favor, it will go more smoothly.
It does go more smoothly. It lowers stress. And I think that's what we all need so badly. I think next month is going to be a really glorious December because this will be the first time Mercury is not retrograde in December when we're buying gifts for all our family and friends. And when you buy a gift when Mercury is retrograde, usually it goes back to the store. But when it's not retrograde, and it won't retrograde until January 14th, so we're free and clear. It will retrograde from January 14th to February 4th. So we're going to have a really nice holiday. There is one big planet that will go retrograde, Venus. Venus will retrograde from December 19th until January 29th. Now, what does that mean? It means that if you're a marketer and you're marketing to women, because Venus is really associated with women, you don't want to come out with something new and launch it during the retrograde. But luckily, it's so close to Christmas and nobody launches anything in January, usually. I have told cosmetic companies to wait until February or March. I love March. March is sensational. So I also, on a personal level, people shouldn't cut their hair like really short or go from blonde to brunette or get Botox or fillers or veneers on their teeth or to do radical things that change their appearance. Sit tight until February and they'll like the results better.
Now, as you mentioned,
that's the only thing.
As you mentioned, Susan, and I do want to remind our listeners that you can find out more about the year ahead by just looking for Susan at Susan Miller, or you can look for Astrology Zone, and she has many different things there, like website and apps, which I don't have any apps, but I'm sure many of you know what that is. But Susan, what about what has gone on with COVID? Is there going to be foreseeable relief that you can see?
I have been saying since the beginning, I didn't see any, they're starting to say it will never go away. The seasonal flu shot that we get every year, that's really for the Spanish flu. They just took the name away. I Googled, when did the Spanish flu go away? And they said, well, never. It hasn't. It is the seasonal flu. And because so few people in this country have been vaccinated, they're saying we need 90%. We're only at 65. They did a big story on Portugal, which has 94% vaccinated. And they're back to concerts and movies and restaurants and clubs and all the things some of us like me are afraid to do. I mean, I really want to go to the movies, but if I went, I would go at 11 o'clock in the morning when nobody's there. I wouldn't. I'm just not into crowds. And I just had my booster shot last week. And New York State is opening it up. Well, you're in New York, right? It's opening it up.
I'm a New Yorker, but I'm not in New York at the moment. But that is interesting in terms of, I'm wondering what the astrological information is about that. Because when we look at the actual science, such as in the European Journal of Epidemiology, which just came out September 30th, 2021, they actually have found that increases in COVID-19 are unrelated to levels of vaccinations across 68 countries and 3,000 counties in the United States. So we're not really seeing scientifically, although the news seems to project at times, that there is a one-to-one. Look at Vermont. I mean, what would you be saying about Vermont, which is very sparsely populated and very highly vaccinated, and yet the rate there is going up. So I don't know that we've really figured that out.
Well, it's going up because of breakthrough, because it's wearing off. I always felt that we would get some relief by early March 2023, but that doesn't mean that everything stays at the same level. We keep coming down the mountain, at lesser and lesser and lesser. But it's starting to worry me that Pluto is going into Aquarius for the first time in 248 years.
Wow, that is very interesting.
Yeah.
What could that mean, astrologically?
Well, that's why we have such divisiveness now. It's so close because it moves so slowly. So stay with me on this. He's the furthest out in our solar system. He's the horse on the last rung, and he goes around. So it takes so long to go around. Well, how old is this country? About 246 years.
That's true.
And it's coming back to the place it was during the American Revolution, which means we have to fight for democracy again. You know, I think many times in our life, there will be a crisis where the universe asks, how much do you love your marriage? How much do you love your children? How much do you love your city? Do you want to stay there? Do you want to move? How much do you love your business? Are you willing to fight for it through hard times and keep it going? How much do you love your country or democracy? We're tested all the time because all of life goes towards strength. And, we're born because we were the strongest egg and the strongest sperm came to us. Everything's built on strength in the universe. So with Pluto rules finances, which is very good, and prosperity, but it also rules bacteria. And it's going into a respiratory sign in 2024. And that's when it will be in the same place that the American Revolution had Pluto. And, it'll take a while before our country is less polarized. It will start to come together again. It will reach a peak in 24, but then it'll start coming down the mountain because I'm dealing with bell curves. Going up the mountain or down the mountain. And it will get better eventually, but it'll be slow. That's because we need a public forum and listen to each other and talk to each other and, love our neighbor, even though our neighbor doesn't vote the way we do. It's a process.
It's never been a big issue before, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I'm finding it quite amazing.
Who don't agree with anything I say, but it's okay. I love them anyway. And, so I think we have to be careful. I came down with a cold today and I have no idea how because I've been wearing a mask and everybody I know has a cold, but it's just a stupid cold, with runny nose. And
well, wait, you
sneezing.
did share, if you don't mind, as we were going on, that you actually had a medical intervention today, which does, it's stressful worrying about it and it's stressful going through it. So it could have affected your immune system.
I have them a lot, though. I have to because I was born with an inherited condition that makes you blind. And if you don't get the medicine injected into the white of your eye very frequently, you could go blind.
Well, at least they do have the medication, right? See, that's where medication could really big.
So I go all the time, and I love my doctor. It's so funny. As an astrologer, I don't tell my doctor that. Well, finally I did, And he said, "Oh, that's so interesting." And when I was giving out calendars to the nurses, one of them said, "Dr. Freund is sad you didn't give him one." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, he's so famous and he's such a distinguished doctor." I had no idea. So I quickly, gave him one. And he said, "Oh, we're going to love this. We'll put it in the kitchen." And he's just so supportive. And he said, "Susan, I know what you do for a living and we got to keep you writing. We got to keep those eyes working." And that's so kind, when somebody really cares. And I could tell he does. He's going to keep you well.
Well, with all the
you're
writing
good
that
about
you
coming,
do,
he said. You're good about showing up.
With all the writing that you do, you actually write for many very major magazines.
Well, the monthly that I'm telling your listeners to check out on Astrology Zone, I write 40,000 words a month divided by 12 signs. And each sign takes me 7 hours to write because remember, I'm doing math. Astrology is built on mathematical calculations. We look at cycles. Really, what I'm looking at also is probability bars going up and down. When probability is going up, then I have to mention it. When it's sometimes I can see you'll be spending more, for example. What sign are you, for example?
I'm an Aries.
I love Aries. My daughter's Aries. Yeah. Aries has been under the best aspects for fame, honors, awards, and achievement. Next year starts quietly for Aries. Just kind of like little cat's paws in the snow, very quiet, because you're putting together the pieces, you're tweaking things. Then I want you to begin to unveil things after your birthday, after May 10th. Think around Mother's Day. You're going to have the best year of your life next year, the absolute best, because Jupiter goes in Aries May 10th to October 30th. Then he scoots back into Pisces, but comes back on December 20th for 5 months into 2023. And you say, oh, tears on my pillow. What happens when he leaves? Because when you have him, you get everything. You get the cornucopia. You make friends with high-level people who want to help you. You get lucky breaks. You get promotions. You expand your influence. If you're not dating, you meet the right one for you. You make a best friend. I mean, things are glorious.
Certainly something to look forward to. It's really nice that you're able to see into the future.
When it leaves, it goes into your money house. So all the projects you started start to come up in your garden, and you start to see your harvest.
Now, I know that you're going to have a wonderful year also, Susan, and I want to thank you very much for having been our guest today right here on Herbally Yours. And have a great week.
Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be with you. Thank you.
And listeners, thank you so much for joining us. And I want to remind you that you are listening to Herbally Yours right here on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. You can listen live or online at nccradio.org or on iHeartRadio. And for further information, you can email us at whpc@ncc.edu. This is your host, Ellen Kamai at naturalnurse.com, inviting you to join us again next week for another edition of Herbally Yours. Until then, stay healthy.